As the spring semester comes to a close, this will be our last episode of Hall Talk for this year, but we still have a lot of sports to talk about going on at the Hall. The men's golf team recently this week won the 2022 Big East Championship, their first one in 22 years, with the last one coming back in 2000. On the diamond, the baseball team is currently on a 3-game winning streak and have another Big East series coming up this weekend at Georgetown. For the softball team, they are currently on a 4-game losing streak, but look to get back on track this weekend as they travel south to Villanova. And basketball still making headlines here at the Hall in their offseason as Lauren Park Lane was named the All-Met Player of the Year on the women's side, and the new men's basketball head coach Shaheen Holloway was named the All-Met Coach of the Year for his time at St. Peter's. We're hitting it all here on Hall Talk, and my panel and I will have all the coverage you need. My name is Liam Plate, and this is Hall Talk. Hello and welcome back to Hall Talk. Once again, I'm your host, Liam Plate, and I'm now joined by my panel, Ryan Johnston, Michael Federico. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
You know, it's pretty good. It's been a long spring semester. Things are starting to wrap up academically, but sports are in full swing, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm doing well. You know, a lot going on. It's still at the Hall despite basketball season being over, and I'm excited for the season, for the semester to come to a close.
Yeah, everyone's feeling the pressure in the classroom, but the student athletes feeling the pressure on the field as well. Let's jump into baseball right now, guys. 3-game winning streak for the baseball team. They've had wins over Creighton, Ryden, and Lafayette, with the scores being 10-9, 6-2, and 8-3 respectively. I mean, they're on this nice little winning streak. What really stood out to you in these 4 games?
You know, for me, Liam, it's got to be the offense. This is a team that really struggled early on this season, but they've just been red hot in the batter's box recently. They've had back-to-back games with 15 or more hits. Those were against Creighton and Ryder on Tuesday. Lafayette, they had another 8 hits, and against Lafayette, they were electric on the base pass. They were taking advantage of a rookie catcher behind the plate, and they had 6 steals really early on in that game. Jonathan Luters has been incredible to start out. He had 8 consecutive hits and 8 at-bats, just an incredible streak from him. That was broken yesterday against Lafayette, but he's been impeccable all season long.
Yeah, you mentioned the offense of the Pirates. They've been lacking, you know, earlier on in the season, but as of the last 3 games where they have their winning streak, they've scored a total of 24 runs. And in the last 3 games, 24 runs scored is the most they've scored in, you know, the first 11 games of the season. First 11 games of the season, they only scored 20 runs. And here we're seeing that offensive production in the last 3 games. So that is definitely one of the bright sides for this Pirate team. They're 5-2 in their last 7 games. You know, as they're playing opponents that are more on their level, you know, they're not playing a team like Oklahoma State, Florida, or UNC. You mentioned that this team is finally hitting, and that was a problem they had in the beginning of the season where they struggled to even really put the ball in play. So the baseball team is looking up. They're putting the ball in play. They're scoring runs, and that's what you like to see.
Now, guys, I heard you guys mention a couple names here so far, but I really want you guys to go and just dive in here and let me know, and let the audience know, what players have really exceeded during this win streak. And Michael, we can start with you.
Yeah, one player I want to mention is, as you mentioned earlier, the junior shortstop, Jonathan Luters. He went 2 for 5 against Creighton, 4 for 4 against Ryder, and 3 for 5 against Lafayette. He's batting .643 over that span of the last 3 games. He's got 3 RBIs and 5 runs scored. He's the offense of this team single-handedly. He is doing a lot for this team. He's producing well. You know, he steals bases, and even in the field, he's phenomenal shortstop. He's one of the leaders as a junior on this team that the Seton Hall team needs.
Yeah, Luters has been phenomenal all season long. He's really been playing well. Another guy that played pretty well yesterday was Devin Hack. He got it on base a couple of times. Pat D'Amico has been pretty solid recently, batting in a couple of runs. Just this young baseball team in general has really stepped it up.
Yeah, now they want to keep the good times rolling with another Big East series coming up as they head down to Washington, D.C. to take down the Georgetown Hoyas this weekend. And guys, again, what's going to be key for the Pirates to keep this winning streak going? Ryan?
It's going to be a tough one. This Georgetown team is 7 games above 500. They've shown that they can beat some of the better teams in the Big East this year. But really what the Pirates got to do is keep this momentum up in the batter's box. The pitchers haven't been phenomenal this year, but a lot of it is because they haven't had any run support. Pirates have finally got some run support in these past couple of games. They really need to keep that going if they're going to beat these Hoyas.
Yeah, Georgetown, is 14-4 at home this season. So they know how to play at home, and this Pirate team struggles on the road. So when you have a team that's good at home and a team that's bad on the road, that's not a good mix. However, Georgetown is not an offensive powerhouse. They've only scored double digits 5 times this season. And if the Pirates recently have been scoring a lot of runs, if they can continue to do that, I feel like they can take 2 out of 3 from this very good Georgetown team.
And guys, Michael, you kind of gave your prediction a little bit, but what's your series prediction for this? Michael, you can go in a little bit more about yours.
Yeah, I think Georgetown does not score a lot of runs. They're more of a defensive first team. Their pitching they have a really good pitching staff. They keep games close and they win the close games. When there seems to be like a high run total, that's where they seem to let the game slip away. Whereas the Pirates, they win those close games, and as of late, they've won those blowout games where they've beat teams, by 3 or 4 runs. And if they can continue to keep up, having double-digit hits for a 4th game in a row against Georgetown, they can certainly win 2 out of 3 of this series and have another Big East series win.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Michael here. I think 2 out of 3 is a great prediction. Pirates are red hot right now, especially like we were talking about in the batter's box. They can keep that up like you're talking about against a defensive Georgetown team. I don't think that Georgetown's bats are going to be able to keep up with the Pirates, so I think 2 out of 3 is a good prediction right there.
Definitely going to be a big series against the Hoyas where the Pirates hope to get those wins. But now we're going to move to softball. And the softball team kind of on an opposite spectrum as the baseball team is. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now. They were swept by UConn by scores of 6-1, 5-2, and 14-5. And then losing another game. But, after a strong start to the season, what has gone wrong for this softball team recently, Ryan?
It's really just got to be the offense. They really haven't been able to get things going. They haven't scored any more than 5 runs in their past 4 games. And in that UConn series, they left 15 runners on base in total. And against Drexel, they left 11 runners on base. That can't happen. You need to step up. The offense needs to get going.
Yeah, the offense is definitely lacking. They started off the season red hot. They were the hottest team on the diamond. As the baseball team started 1-17 on the season, the softball team looked like the better team on the diamond. However, as of late, they've played a lot of tough opponents. They're not scoring as much, and especially when you only have 2 pitchers on the team, it's very easy for the other team to pick up on the pitching style and the speed and the time up the pitcher, and that shows as of late. Seton only having 2 main pitchers in Sidney Babbitt and Shelby Smith is really hurting them in the long run, because as you play these opponents 3-4 times, they get used to seeing Shelby Smith and Sidney Babbitt, twice, 3 times a game, and then that's when they just start to, they find their rhythm, they hit the ball hard, and they put the ball in play. And baseball and softball, if you put the ball in play, that's all you need to do, because after that, it's out of your hands.
You guys mentioned the offense really needs to step up, but any players in particular that you see on the offensive side, or Michael, you mentioned a couple of their pitchers as well that really need to step up if the Pirates want to get back on track?
Yeah, Shelby Smith is definitely a player I feel like needs to step up. She's a leader on this team. She hasn't left the yard, though, in 16 games, as she is the leader in home runs. I feel like that offensive lack there is hurting this team. Softball, you play on a smaller field. You need to leave the yard once or twice a game, especially in these close games. A big home run, especially from one of your juniors, a leader on this team, that can really get the team going. The momentum can be on your favor. And as of late, they haven't been getting shut out, but they've been scoring 1 or 2 runs a game, and you can't win a ball game scoring 1 or 2.
I'm going to go with Kaden Ehrenberg. She's one of the really 3 pitchers in this Pirates bullpen, I should say, and she hasn't really gotten a whole lot of ticks so far this season. It's really been a lot of Shelby Smith and Sidney Babbitt. When Ehrenberg has gotten in, she hasn't been the most prolific on the mound. She's got around a 6.7 ERA. She really struggled against UConn in that senior game. So if she can give some bullpen relief to this Pirates team, I think that it would be a huge lift for them moving forward.
Definitely a few names you're going to want to keep an eye out for this Pirates softball team. But now they head down to Pennsylvania this weekend to take on Big East rival Villanova. And guys, I mean, what do the Pirates need to do to get the win, get a series win, or at least win one game in this series, get themselves back on track?
You know, we talked about the bats. They've really got to step it up this year. Nova team is tough. They've shown all season long that they can put runs on the board, and the Pirates are going to keep up. Errors happen sometimes in this game. The Pirates especially have made a couple of errors this season on the field, so they're going to need their bats to step up. They're going to need some more run support if they want a chance at beating this Wildcat team.
Yeah, Villanova's a very good team. They're 26-19 on the year, but don't let that record deceive you. As you know, they're only 7 games over 500, but they're on a 12-game win streak. And as you know, if you're hot, you're hot, and you just keep rolling. This is going to be tough, especially with the Pirates being on a 4-game losing streak, to go away on the road to Villanova, who is, as we know, a very tough opponent in any sport that Seton Hall plays them in. It's going to be tough for this Pirates team, especially with no offense and really only having 2 pitchers. You mentioned, out of the bullpen, but Shelby Smith and Sidney Babbitt are really getting the load, and it's going to be tough. This is a long season, so a workload on a pitcher, especially when it's you and someone else, it's tough for them to, get in a groove, especially if you're tired. It's a long season. Big East play is soon. The offense really needs to pick up where the pitching lacks.
And guys, the same way we did for the baseball team, what's your series prediction for this one? Like you mentioned, Michael, very tough matchup with a 12-game winning streak for this Villanova team. But Ryan, we'll start with you. What's your prediction?
I think that if the Pirates step up on the bats, they can grab one. It's going to be a tough one, though. Like Michael said, Villanova's won 12 straight. They're 13-4 in conference play. They're the second-best team in the conference. The Pirates really need to grab one. So I'm going to go 1-2 on the series for Seton Hall.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a clean sweep for Villanova. I know we're a Seton Hall sports talk show, but I just don't find Seton Hall scratching away a win for this team against this team. I mean, 12-game win streak, that's hard to beat. The way that the Seton Hall team is playing, the bats aren't rolling. Hitting is contagious, and hitting is certainly not contagious right now. I feel like it's going to be a clean sweep for this Wildcat team.
Definitely going to be an interesting series down in Villanova, Pennsylvania. But guys, we're going to wrap up the softball talk. And as this is our last episode of Hall Talk for the year, I wanted to get your thoughts of what your favorite Seton Hall sports moment of the year was. And Michael, we'll start with you.
My favorite Seton Hall sports moment has to be Seton Hall men's basketball beating 7th-ranked Texas at home 64-60. After that win, that was the first time this season that Seton Hall was ranked. They were ranked 23 in the country. I feel like that win was, if not the biggest win of the season, because just the way everything rolled together. I mean, Bryce Aiken pulling up from the logo with a minute to go. I was there, the whole stadium gasped. Like, what are you doing, Aiken? Why are you shooting that shot? Oh, you're not Steph Curry. And he hit it. The Prue went crazy. I feel like that moment right there, especially a week before when beating 4th-ranked Michigan on the road, that just set the tone for the Seton Hall basketball team moving into the season, that we can compete with the top dogs in the country and that we are a powerhouse ourselves.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I think my favorite moment of the season was the Rutgers game for men's basketball. Just an incredible atmosphere. We finally got to open up the upper deck. It was just, there are so many fans there, and the arena was so loud, especially in the crucial moments of the game. Even the Rutgers fans were showing their school spirit. And it felt like the epitome of college basketball to me. It felt like the reason that I wanted to cover sports in the first place. So definitely that game against Rutgers was a special night.
Definitely 2 really big moments. For me, I kind of cheated. I picked 2 favorite moments, but they were both in women's basketball. Women's basketball win at DePaul, a big win for them. And then their Final Four, the WNIT Final Four win over Middle Tennessee State, an absolute thriller down near Nashville. But, guys, it's going to wrap up our show. But before we wrap up, a shout-out to the men's golf team getting the 2022 Big East Championship. And then, of course, we're going to keep talking about basketball. On the women's side, Lauren Park Lane, All-Met Player of the Year. Sydney Cooks, All-Met First Team this season. And on the men's side, our new head coach, Shaheen Holloway, All-Met Coach of the Year with his time during St. Peter's. And then shout-out Jared Roden, All-Met First Team this season. But for Ryan Johnston and Michael Federico, I've been Liam Plate. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next year.